Satnam and hello. Welcome to OpalRoseOracle. My name is Adeshpurankaur. I hope you're all having a beautiful, beautiful day today. Happy Eve before Halloween or Samhain if you celebrate. It's so good to be here with you on this Venus Day for our Venus Day story time. So if your children are around, wonderful. If you have juice or tea or water or something you'd like to drink while we have story time, please get it for yourself. If you need a blanket or a pillow, or if you want to put on your king crown or your unicorn horn, or whatever costume you have for Halloween, you can do that too. We have a new book that we're starting this week. It is called Changing Woman and Her Sisters. This is a book which is a collection of goddess stories from around the world, which is written by Katrin Hyman Tchana and illustrated by Trina Shart Hyman. I'll give you a close-up of the cover of our book. Our first story for this week is Changing Woman, who is a Navajo deity. Get a nice picture of her beautiful, beautiful, beautiful dress and all of the hoops that she is dancing with. We're going to learn about her today. So if you're ready, let our story begin. Changing Woman, a Navajo deity. Central to the mythology of the Navajo people is Azza Nadale. Forgive me if I pronounced that incorrectly. Also known as Changing Woman. Sometimes she comes as a girl, other times as a young woman, or she may appear to be a middle-aged woman or an old grandmother. Changing Woman changes as the earth changes, young in the spring and old in the winter, but constantly renewed. In some stories, she is considered to be the daughter of Earth Mother and Sky Father. Another story claims that she is the daughter of the two inner spirits of the earth, long life and happiness. She is the mother of the Navajo hero twins, Monster Slayer and Born for Water. It is Changing Woman who created people and all things that people need to keep them happy. Therefore, according to the Navajo tradition, we are all the children of Changing Woman. Early one morning, First Man was out walking. He saw a dark cloud had gathered on the top of the tallest mountain. He climbed the mountain and found a little baby girl lying on a circle of crystal sand. Rainbows danced over her head. Dawn and darkness tossed the little baby between them, so that she cried and cried. "What a beautiful baby girl she is," cried First Man with delight. The baby's eyes were two perfect black ovals. Her body was white and clear, like a white shell. First man laid the baby in a rainbow cradle and wrapped her up in a dark cloud. He laced the cloud with the sun rays and took the baby home to first woman. "Oh, what a beautiful baby you've found," first woman crowed. She took the baby in her arms and rocked her. As first man and first woman admired her, the baby began changing. First, she was a young woman of dazzling beauty. The next, she became a chore woman, handsome and strong. Then, she became a wrinkled old grandmother. In the blink of an eye, she turned back into a tiny baby again. Kicking her little arms and beating her little legs against the sides of her rainbow cradle. "My daughter," first woman called her. The baby grew and grew. In 4 days, she could already talk and run around. She was a beautiful little girl. "Changing woman," first man called her. And whenever the little girl heard the words, "changing woman," she came running. The little girl grew and grew. In 4 days, she was a big girl, strong and sturdy. Now she refused to eat the food that first woman made for her. Every morning, dawn would send her magic pollen to eat, and in the evening, dusk also sent her magic pollen to eat. And that was her food. Changing woman grew and grew, and in 4 more days, she was a beautiful young maiden. The gods came and dressed her in all white. They gave her moccasins and leggings and a skirt made from white shell. They gave her a white shell headdress. They placed a perfect rock crystal in her mouth. They performed a ceremony in her honor and gave her the songs that are a blessing for all humankind. "Go ahead and run, changing woman," said the gods, encouraging her. So changing woman began to run, her white shells rattling with every bound. She ran to the east and the west, the north and the south. She circled all the mountains, and everywhere she ran, jewels sprang up under her feet. Even today, there are precious stones on the mountains where changing woman ran. Time passed, and changing woman was fully grown. One day, she climbed the mountain to bathe in a waterfall. As the cool water splashed down on her, she watched the sun rays make rainbows glitter on the foaming cascade. And suddenly, a handsome man appeared. He seemed to be walking right out of the ray of sunshine. He was the sun god, and he smiled at changing woman. And changing woman felt her heart stop beating for an instant. Confused, she looked away. When she looked up again, the man was gone. Changing woman went home and told first woman about the strange man she'd seen at the waterfall. And first woman scowled. "Don't go back there, my daughter," she warned her. "How many times must I tell you not to go wandering in the mountains by yourself?" Don't you know that dangerous monsters are everywhere? The man you saw was probably a monster. Next time he might do more than simply smile at you. He may eat you right up. Oh my goodness, right? Changing Woman promised to be more careful. But the next day, she felt strange movements inside her body. She asked First Woman about it, and First Woman looked at her carefully. I think you're going to have a baby, First Woman declared. 9 days later, Changing Woman gave birth to 2 babies. Twin boys. Their names were Monster Slayer and Born for Water. Changing Woman took good care of them. When she went to gather food, she hid them in a pit and covered it with heavy stone. But when she came back, the babies had moved the stone and crawled out of the pit. They were rolling around on the ground, wrestling with each other. How silly. In 4 days, the babies had grown into big, strong boys. Their baby teeth fell out, and Changing Woman made them new teeth out of white shell. First Man made bows and arrows for the boys. Now they ran everywhere, shooting at anything with their bows and arrows. But Changing Woman feared that monsters might catch them and harm them. One day, Monster Slayer, who was the older twin, asked his mother, "Who is our father?" "You have no father," said Changing Woman. Monster Slayer persisted. 4 times he asked his mother the same question. And 4 times she gave him the same reply. When Monster Slayer asked the 5th time, Changing Woman told her sons the truth. "My poor children," she said, "your father is the sun. But you mustn't try to visit him, for it is a very long and difficult journey to his house." As usual, the twins had no thought for their own safety. They left their mother's house and traveled to the house of the sun. They had many adventures along the way, and many adventures before they came back. But that is another story. They were gone for a very, very long time. When at last the twins returned home, Changing Woman did not recognize them. They wore armor made from flint and carried arrows of lightning. These were gifts from their father, the sun. With the lightning arrows, they had killed many fierce monsters. But other monsters still lived. "Mother, don't you recognize us?" the twins said, laughing. They took off their armor. Then Changing Woman saw that these were really her children, and she greeted them joyfully. "And look, Mother," said Monster Slayer, Our father has sent a gift to you. He presented her with 5 magical hoops, 1 black, 1 yellow, 1 blue, 1 white, and 1 that shone with all the colors of the rainbow. Then Changing Woman took the black hoop and rolled it to the east. She rolled the blue hoop to the south, the yellow hoop to the west, the white hoop to the north. And she took the hoop of many colors and she threw it straight up over her head. She blew a powerful breath on it, and it floated up into the sky and disappeared from view. As the hoops rolled away, thunder rumbled in the distance. The sky grew dark, and a strong wind began to blow. Changing Woman looked around her and saw whirlwinds blowing in every direction. They uprooted trees as if they were weeds and tossed great rocks around as if they were little pebbles. Hailstones, as large as a man's fist, fell from the sky and pelted the earth below. My sons, I fear for our house, cried Changing Woman. It is high in the mountains, and this wind will certainly destroy it. Monster Slayer ran and covered the house with a black cloud. He tied the cloud down with rainbows and fastened a black fog all around with sunbeams. For 4 days, the gods huddled inside, listening to the storm that raged about them. On the morning of the 5th day, the winds died down and the sun rose in a pale blue sky. Everyone went outside to look around. The storm had brought amazing changes to the earth. A giant canyon had formed by the side of the houses. The shapes of the surrounding bluffs were different now. Pillars of rock rose up from the earth in strange towers. Surely all of the monsters are now dead, declared Changing Woman. None could have survived that storm. But a small wind came and whispered in their ears, "Old age still lives. Poverty still lives. Hunger still lives. The lice still live." Monster Slayer sprang up. "I will go and kill them immediately," he cried. But Changing Woman stopped him. "No, my son, leave them be. These monsters are bad, but they are also partly good. The humans who are soon coming to live on this earth must learn to use their courage and intelligence. These monsters will challenge them and help them grow." So Monster Slayer let those monsters live, and they roam the earth to this day. After the great storm that destroyed all the man-eating monsters and made the earth safe for human life, the gods returned to their own houses and went on with their work. Changing Woman continued to prepare the earth for the humans who were coming. She made horses and sheep and wild animals for them to hunt. She created useful tools for them to cook and make clothing with. But soon she began to feel that there was no special reason to create any more things. Human beings were the only thing missing. She began to think she should go away to the west. Soon all the gods knew that Changing Woman was going to live in the west. Nobody wanted Changing Woman to leave, but they knew there must be a reason for it. One morning, Changing Woman rose at dawn and called together the 12 gods and goddesses who would accompany her to her new home. They left within a dark cloud, surrounded by a dark mist. And when they had followed the path for a time, that was neither short nor long, for it was not in our time, they arrived at the place where the earth meets the sky. In that place where there was no land, only blue water rippling out in every direction, and floating in the mist of the water was a house of white shell and crystal, shining with all the colors of the rainbow. Talking God and calling God were waiting for her there. They showed her all the different rooms of her house, the rooms of dawn and the rooms of twilight, the rooms of sea and sky, the rooms of summer and autumn. Everything was perfect in the house of Changing Woman. And she ran from room to room laughing and singing. Then talking God and calling God said goodbye. But they instructed the 12 gods and goddesses to stay with Changing Woman for a little while longer. For 4 days and 4 nights, Changing Woman wandered through her new home without sleeping, and the 12 gods and goddesses waited to see what she would do. They knew she was thinking of something wonderful, and they stayed very quiet so they would not disturb her. After the 4th night had passed, Changing Woman set a white shell basket on the floor and clapped her hands. "My children, some people will be made," she cried. Then she rubbed some skin from her chest, rolled it into a small ball, and placed it in the basket. She did the same with her left arm and her right arm. Then she did the same with her left arm and her right hand, and her left hand and her right shoulder and left shoulder. Then she covered the basket with a cloth and stepped over it 4 times. When she uncovered the basket, 8 people stepped out, 4 men and 4 women. She told the people to sit down, and they sat down. Then she rubbed them and brushed them until they were perfect. She gave them beautiful clothes to wear and decorated them with jewels. "Now, my children, you will be humans," she told them. She blew on them, and gave them the power of speech. Now you can tell one another stories, she told them. All that day, Changing Woman spoke to the new people she had created. She told them about the place she had prepared for them, which is this good earth. She instructed them in how to find food and shelter, how to pray, and how to live together peacefully. That is how Changing Woman created the first human people, the mothers and fathers of the first 4 clans. Then morning came. She sent them forth into a new country that was prepared for them, and they traveled joyfully through the mountains and valleys of this beautiful world. And that is the story of Changing Woman. We'll go back to her picture so you can see her one more time. Here you are, with her beautiful dress made of shells and crystals, with her black, blue, yellow, white, and rainbow hoops. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed our story today. I do look forward to next week. Next week, we'll be reading about Macha, the goddess of horses, a Celtic goddess. I hope to see you then. Till then, I hope you have the most happy Halloween and a blessed Samhain for those who celebrate. Sending you all infinite love, peace, and blessings. Have a beautiful, beautiful, blessed full moon in Taurus. And I'll see you all very soon. Take care for now. Bye-bye.